Welcome back to The Rebel's Edge. Pete and I are going to break down some top stories for you in just a moment. And while we're at it, we're going to talk about winning because apparently we just keep winning. More on that right now on The Rebel's Edge. Bang. Yep.
What the hell is that? That is the Taco Bell dog. You're right.
It is. He's the best.
Oh, that's fantastic. That's a cute pup.
I feel like Mickey Rourke whenever I'm walking around holding him like that.
You know, between the Taco Bell dog that you've got and the giddy up shirt that you got a lot going on today.
Giddy up, baby.
What is that, a cigar in one hand and something else, a drink in the other?
Cigar in one hand, margarita in the other.
That sounds like a good Saturday night.
On every Saturday night. That's why one of your fans sent it to me, Pete. They actually sent it to the office, and they said, send this to Pete. And I was thinking, I don't know if Pete can get his leg in this thing. I mean, it's a little snug on me, and so I can imagine it would not fit you, Pete.
It's a great state fair shirt, actually.
Yeah, well, you can cut it off. You can cut the sleeves off and maybe cut the sides open or something like that, and then you could wear it. Well, welcome, folks. This is indeed the Rebel's Edge, and we're about to give you some edge right about now, starting with Macro Minute.
Yeah.
And there goes the Taco Bell. Go get them, Taco. Tell me again, Pete, how people are not doing well. Yeah. Because the revenue from the sales of Ray-Ban Meta glasses, you know, these are the ones with the cameras on either side here, Pete. You can literally just look at somebody and it will tell you who you're looking at and so forth. I mean, they are amazing. Well, the sales of those glasses, which cost about, give or take, $300, tripled year over year. Tripled. People must really be struggling, Pete.
Oh, yeah, the economy's terrible. The stock market's not hitting a brand new record level every single day.
No.
So, you know, there's a lot of things for people to complain about. Well, they can do whatever they want, John, but the reality is what you were just saying. And again, when you look at the earnings, John, and we've got 80% of the 30% of the S&P has beaten, I would say that's pretty impressive. This week being the biggest of them all. So we'll see how things play out this week. But we've got Meta, we got Microsoft, we got Apple, we got Amazon. I mean, it's a pretty busy week, I would say, when you come to the world of tech, at least. We've already gotten the financials, for the most part, out of the way. When we say that, it's not a perfect science. There are different staggers here and there, but really, really interesting to see what's going on there, John. And I think that because of the fact that earnings have been so good pretty much across the board, not everybody, but pretty much across the board, I think that's why we're seeing this market ripping to the upside on top of what's going on in terms of getting as many of those tariff negotiations, you know, at least in place or very, very close. And we still got, a couple of days, I think, before the whole thing closes out. But even then, it sounds like we're going to at least sit with a 15 to 20% sort of a tariff, at least if there's negotiations going on.
Well, Pete, for fantastic futures today, I'm going to go with lean hogs, which trade, of course, over at CME. They started the year at give or take $75, Pete. And today they're 88, but that's down from a high, basically, at the end of June, more or less at 112. So they came down pretty dramatically since right after the 4th of July. They came down from about 107 to this $88 level. So I'm going to say futures, yeah, lean hogs. It's getting a little bit cheaper, quicker.
That's getting cheaper, and the width of how much the VIX is moving around, John, is getting tighter and tighter and tighter each day. It's basically somewhere between, call it 1475 and 1515 or somewhere in that world. But I just wanted to break it down. Year to date, VIX is down 15%. 6 months, it's down 11%. 1 month, it's down 10%. 5 day, it's down 10%. It gives you a little bit of an idea, and we are very, very close, John, to those 52-week lows at this point in time. We're not there yet, but we're not that far away either. And it won't take a whole lot to get it there. Now, we still got a lot going on with earnings season. There's a lot of different things that could happen August 1st with everything with the tariffs. But speaking for now, we look at that volatility, man, it's pretty impressive where we really sit right now, John, with a little bit of pressure on the Dow. On today's market, there's pressure on the Dow. But that's because of 3 or 4 stocks, 2 of which are in the healthcare world. And that part of the economy is not doing as great as we'd like to see.
Well, that's great lead into basically a pharma company known as Novo Nordisk, Pete. They are, of course, one of the folks that do those GLP-1 drugs. They're the guys that everybody wanted for the longest time, Pete, because they couldn't get enough of it. So they basically started turning to other manufacturers like Lilly and a host of others. Pete and I've talked about them here on the show. The stock on its peak, Pete, was about $140. Today, for the year, it is down some 37%. And it fell dramatically today, down 22%, because the CEO warned that, hey, we got a lot of competition. We're not the only game in town anymore. And that's why they've shaved almost 2/3 of our price in the last year and a half.
Yeah, sitting at the 52-week lows, by the way. The one thing that stands out for me, John, why I'd keep an eye on this one is, why is that? Well, because of exactly why it was going to the upside. It was all about what we were talking about in terms of weight loss drugs and all the rest of that, and the competition that became very, very active and aggressive, and the forecast that they gave, that was weak. Their sales, they cut the sales as far as the projections out there. That's another thing that doesn't look so great. I mean, the one thing that does stand out, though, its PE is 17, and the free cash flow right now, John, $77 billion. So for those two, I would say, is it oversold? It might be a little bit oversold now, because everybody's looking at one metric really, which is, well, how they doing with this drug? And the answer is not as good as they were, because of the fact that there is so much competition. This is one of those where when everybody else is running, and you know what, blood in the streets, as our good friend out in Omaha would say, this might be one of those, John, not today, but this might be one of those names where I think it might not be such a bad idea to scoop some up. So we'll see. With 52-week lows, I don't know. It's something I'm going to watch pretty closely, I can tell you that.
Well, I am too, Pete, because I agree with you. Combinations of these GLPs and these semi-glutides, or whatever you want to call them, it just does a marvelous job. I've got a bunch of friends in Puerto Rico that have lost almost 100 pounds on this stuff. But like you said, it's about competition, and you can't hold price if competition's out there cutting your price all the time. It's hard for you to say, well, ours is just better. Really? It's kind of a person by person thing. Anyway, let's take a look, Pete, at SoFi, because we had unusual option activity in this name, and we had it not that long ago, really. End of June, going into July, we had SoFi calls being bought way out in November, and they were paying $1 for them, roughly. Well, today, the stock jumps by about 17%, trading to a new 52-week high, I believe, Pete. And this one, why did it jump? Well, it jumped because they had some very interesting Q2 results, sharply raising guidance and all the rest. If you want to get in on these trains, folks, before they leave the station, you got to go over to marketrebellion.com/get started, because you could have been in on this trade just like Pete and I. So make sure you check out marketrebellion.com/get started. Pete's going to tell you a little bit more about why the stock continues to trade higher.
It's had an absolute incredible run. The numbers that they put up were probably as good as anybody I've seen, John, up to date in terms of what their earnings really looked like. The stock got up and over $25. I mean, it was 52-week highs. There is some short interest here where people are betting against SoFi, so that's about 12%. That probably helped lift it as well. But when you look at all these various loans, John, when you look at personal loans, up 66%. You look at home loans, up 92%. I did say 92%. So
Yep.
the Origin's up 64% year over year. They beat on earnings. They beat on revenue. I'm not sure what else you'd want. And as a matter of fact, like you said already, but they raised the 2025, their full year outlook. So across the board, about as perfect as you could be. And that's why this stock is running to the upside. This is a stock that took a long time to get going again. And it looks like they're on the right path right now, John, because they absolutely crushed it this past quarter.
Yep. It's a great quarter for them. And man, I remember forever, Pete, this being a single digit stock.
Yep.
And our friend Stephanie Link always saying, it's going to go though. One of these days it's going to go. And she was right. Just had to be pretty patient because It's been a lot of years before this thing held on to and saw double digits that it kept adding to. But this is one of those years where it has.
Yep.
All right. How about GLW, Pete? Shares jumping. The company basically posting strong Q2 results as well, just like we were talking about with SoFi. And Pete, a lot of what they're getting is love from their US-made solar products, as well as AI, ramp up costs for AI. Think of all the different things. A lot of people, I think, really pigeonholed this one saying, oh, they make Gorilla Glass. It's in all your iPhones and blah, blah, blah. They do a lot more than that. They do a lot for fiber optic communications too, Pete.
Yeah, and the stock with 52-week highs like SoFi, just an unbelievable run. I mean, when you look at 37 to 61, and 61 is where they capped out so far today at a 52-week high. You got to like that. They beat on the sales, 4.2 billion. They were looking at 4 billion. They look at the earnings. That was a nice beat as well, John, up about 28%. And then the net sales were up. That was about 19% year over year. You look at this one and you say, wow, it's tough to find something. And this is a name, like you said, everybody kind of pigeonholes them into what they think they really do, and they do a lot more than what they think. So I think it's pretty interesting to see how Corning is doing. It's up 11%, 12% today. It's having a really nice day. Like I said, 52-week highs. Can it continue to move to the upside? I think it can. I think they're in the right place, right time, and they do have some competition out there, but I think that they so far have stood up against everybody else. They look like, this is one of those companies that looked like you wanted to get rid of it 3 years ago. But you start looking at where they are right now and where we are positioned with the markets that we've got. I think these guys are doing damn good right now, John, and I think they could continue to do so and continue to grow.
Well, let's talk about another one, Pete, a Minnesota company this time. Minnesota, eh?
Yeah,
Polaris, PII, whether it's jet skis or whether it's snowmobiles or ATVs and so forth, side-by-sides. I mean, these guys have been crushing it, Pete. And we had unusual activity in here. We had it way back in the end of May, and they were buying September 50s. Well, a lot of you ask us, well, when do you know when to get out? Well, Pete and I normally look for at least 100% on our option trades, meaning that, we're not trading a stock and looking for 100%. We're trading an option for $1, and if it goes to 2, that's 100%. Okay. So when it does that, we usually take off half. And then we look and see, hey, did the catalyst, the unusual activity that got us in, did it go away? Did people take it off? And in this case, Pete, they haven't. So we've rolled up. And now today it traded up to 60. So we've rolled out of those September 50s and 55s. And now, thinking about putting on the 60s out in September, Pete.
Yeah, high shorts again, John, 15 to 20% short. So the stock helps that move of about 12%. They put up great numbers, though, also. They beat on their sales. That was something that was pretty impressive. They got the off-road, the on-road. The free cash flow margins were up 15%. They were up 4% year over year. So everywhere you look, you see, again, a really nice quality run. As a matter of fact, I looked at this guy's house years ago, John. I don't know if I ever told you about that, but Todd Speetson, he had his house for sale. I was kind of looking at it because I was looking out towards that direction where he is over there by Lake Minnetonka. It's beautiful over there, but it really wasn't for me, so it didn't work out. But a heck of a guy, and they are doing a great job over there at Polaris. They really are. They've done everything they needed to do the right way, and they had to obviously navigate their best when it comes to the pandemic, and they did a good job with that. So with solid growth. I think this company really has some room to the upside. People are more and more, as you said, it's not just about, the watercraft and all the rest of it. They also got the snow. They've got this, they've got that. They do a little bit of everything. And I think right now they are in the right spot, sweet spot in terms of sales. It's pretty impressive the way they've been able to do this.
Well, free cash flow, which is something Pete always looks for, it was up 15%. That's a real positive. And the other one was, they were basically looking for flat to down earnings, Pete. And the earnings per share, adjusted earnings per share, was 40 cents versus a loss. So, yeah, this was pretty much a blowout quarter for Polaris. So,
yeah,
nice job, guys.
Yeah.
All right, let's take a look, Pete, at a couple guys that also did pretty well. They were a couple brothers like Pete and I, and these guys were smart enough to stick Adam Silver pretty hard, Pete. So let's listen. They didn't start with him, but they finished with him. Let's give this a listen and a look.
In 2014, two brothers got paid $800 million not
that
to
long
own an
ago.
NBA team. Ozzy and Daniel Silna, they were the owners of the Spirits of St. Louis of the ABA. In 1974, they bought the team for $1 million, predicting that the ABA and the NBA would merge. Well, 2 years after buying the team, the ABA did merge with the NBA. The only problem was only 4 ABA teams were allowed to be absorbed into the NBA. The Nuggets, the Pacers, the Nets, and the Spurs, which left the Spirits and the Colonels with nothing. So the NBA offered both teams $3 million to fold.
We'll give
Kentucky
you $3
accepted the payout, but the Silna brothers, they had a completely different vision. They
They're out.
knew they could get more than $3 million. So they negotiated $2 million up front and 1/7 of the TV revenue from the 4 ABA teams that joined the NBA forever. Initially, it just earned $100,000 per year, but over time, the NBA popularity exploded, and so did their payout. By 2014, they were making $20 million per year and already had earned $300 million total. But in 2014, the newly appointed NBA commissioner, Adam Silver, had something to say. He had the NBA buy out the Silna brothers for $500 million, which brought their grand total to $800 million to not own a team. But this is where things get crazy. Had they not sold, they literally would have crippled the NBA. With the new TV deal they signed, they would be making over $1 billion a year.
I was thinking that whole time we were talking about that is Will Ferrell was semi-pro. That shit's real.
Semi-pro was based off of
that is a really funny show, by the way.
Oh yeah. Man.
Oh man.
I mean, if we could only catch lightning in a bottle like those guys did.
Oh
wow.
We got to start looking at pro sports teams that are for sale in the future, John. I think, something low end, whatever that is, something that looks like it's got some possibility. It's probably worth it, man. You see there are stories like this more often than not. I mean, somebody gets in and they're like, all right, here we are.
Look at the Savannah Bananas.
God, I love that guy's brilliant, by the way. Absolutely brilliant. All right, let's jump to the sports, John. Number one, the Dallas Cowboys. How about them Cowboys? I think this is pretty interesting because this has been going on forever. First of all, they always do their camp, for whatever the reason, John, in Oxnard, California. Well, they're back there again. And camps have started, obviously, the NFL. I think they're a little bit deeper than a week in. But they have signed a lot of the big names that they were looking to sign, right? Dak Prescott and CeeDee Lamb last year and all that kind of thing. And the crowd was chanting, pay Micah, pay Micah. And Jerry and the kids, Steve, are sitting there going, we're going to take care of it, everybody. Don't worry about it. And the cool thing about Micah, John, is he is a great player, great outside backers, rush end, whatever you want to call him. He can do it all. I mean, the guy is one of the very best in the NFL for sure. So that being said, he's not sitting out. He's actually at camp and working on, his craft or whatever, which you got to give him credit. I think he's getting pretty damn frustrated, but here's the way I look at it, John. We all know how Jerry Jones operates, right? He's like P.T. Barnum. This guy loves to get everything in the news. So what is everybody talking about right now? Well, what are they going to pay Micah? When are they going to pay this guy? What's the number going to be? It's going to be astronomical. Yeah, it probably will be. We already saw what TJ Watt got. I mean, so there's money being out there, John. It's just a matter of how much they can do it at what rate or whatever. And the only thing that might jump this up a little bit faster, I don't know that it'll happen, as a lot of people have called it, the nuclear option would be he comes to camp and then says, all right, I've been here for a week. We haven't gotten very far with the contract. I'll see you till we see a contract that I can sign. And right now, if it sits where it is, he's going to be making about $24 million this year, which ain't that bad. But
no, not that bad.
Given the fact, though, that TJ Watt, John, is basically making what, $42 million a year with his 3-year contract, 100 and some odd million bucks. So it's one of those things where I think that's what he's looking for, and he's not looking at a number that starts with a 2, like 24 million. He's looking for a 4 or maybe a 5. So we'll see how it happens. But do you think that I'm right that he's P.T. Barnum and he's out there just trying to get people excited about the Cowboys? They're always on everybody's lips to talk about them. He signs them all. They signed Dak. They signed CD. They always end up signing these guys. But I don't know when they'll sign Micah, but my guess is they're not going to let him go anywhere, John. He ain't going to some other team. I think that there's no way Jerry Jones, Steve Jones, and these guys are ever going to let this guy go, right?
Yeah, I don't think they will let him go, Pete. And as you said, 12 days ago, TJ Watt, JJ Watt's younger brother, of course, signed a $123 million extension. As Pete said, it's over $41 million a year. He is the highest paid non-quarterback in NFL history. Now, his body of work, Pete, is more impressive than Micah's, I would say.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just going to put it out there. I don't mean to diss Micah, but, if he got 35, he should be very happy because, like I say, I don't think you put those two stats side by side. And the fact that the Cowboys, have not exactly covered themselves in glory, whereas the Steelers, they may lose and not have Ben Roethlisberger at quarterback. And for a long time, they were looking for a replacement. Hopefully that guy, Aaron Rodgers, can bring them back. But they get a lot closer to being a playoff contender than the Dallas Cowboys have for the most part, Pete. So, I mean, $108 million guarantee for TJ Watt. Maybe they could get Micah to a number without that much of it guaranteed because, that's basically 7/8 of his contract is guaranteed.
Yep.
Meaning he twists a knee and he's done. Boom, $108 million in his pocket. So I think you're right. I think Jerry signs him, but I bet you, Pete, it has a 3 instead of a 4 in front of it.
Yeah, I can't figure it out really totally. I don't know enough about their cap either. And, they've signed some big numbers, and they just signed their tight end too, John, to a pretty damn big contract as well. Nothing like what Micah's going to get, but a big contract for a guy. I want to say that the tight end, I think he's an Iowa kid or a Wisconsin kid, and I think the guy was drafted like 4th, 5th round, something like that, but he's turned into a hell of a tight end, so they're paying him real money again. Cleveland Browns is next. This is our second one, John. And I figured, you've got a lot going on during camps and all the rest of it. People are always excited about projections and all the rest of it. Here's the projection I will throw to you and me, because I don't know if either of us have an answer that's really quality answer for this one, but it still could be fun. Who's going to be the starting quarterback this year for the Cleveland Browns? The Cleveland Browns, John, have 4 quarterbacks, 4 big-name quarterbacks. Joe Flacco, he's 40 years old. Likely the first game starter. But how long is that going to last? That part I don't think would last long because they've got to get some of these other guys on the field. But you also got Deshaun Watson, who's on the PUP list. So the problem is you don't know where he is because he's hurt. So that's a bit of an issue. In the 3rd round, they took Dylan Gabriel, who's a hell of a quarterback out at Oregon, did a great job with Oregon. The guy seems to have everything. And then oddly enough, that's when Shedeur got drafted in the 5th round, right? For the people who forgot that, this guy was considered, arguably one of the top quarterbacks in the draft, and he kept sliding and sliding and sliding, and he slid all the way to the 5th round. But, so far in camp, he's looked pretty good. People seem to be talking about him. They like him, John, and everything else, and he says a lot of the right things. So first of all, do you keep 4 quarterbacks? And if you don't, who do you get rid of? I think my thing would be, well, if you're only going to do 3, you're going to start with 4. And if Flacco plays well, you stay with 4. Flacco doesn't stay all that well, and he's a 40-year-old guy. he might be hitting the bricks, and you're going to figure out between the other three guys who are you going to play after that. But who do you think will be the starter? Let's just guess, like mid-season. Who do you think will finally be the guy who actually runs the Cleveland Browns for the season? What does it look like to you? Because you've seen Colorado play way more than me, especially in person.
Well, it could be Shedeur, Pete. And as you said, it sure as heck could be Dylan Gabriel.
Yeah.
I mean, 3,600 yards and 25 touchdowns for Oregon. That's a heck of a resume right there, and only 6 interceptions. Mm-hmm. So, a 4-to-1 touchdown to interception ratio is very impressive. And then, of course, Shedeur, even though a lot of his passes weren't the big downfield sort of passes, he had one of the highest completions in NCAA history in terms of, his QBRs and everything. So I got to think, Pete, that especially putting people in the stands and for their big stadium and everything, Shedeur is probably the biggest draw for them. And if he plays well, he's going to start. But like you said, he might not start the season. So I got to give the starting nod probably to Flacco, just like you. And then, it's going to be Dylan and Shedeur fighting it out to see who gets to take over from Flacco.
John, the only other thing I'll throw out about Cleveland, since we have this one and we're kicking this around or whatever, Myles Garrett. I don't know if you saw that picture of him walking away from the camera the other day that somebody put up on Twitter, and they said, "Have you ever seen anything like this guy's bod?" He's almost 6'5", 275 pounds, John. He's built like somebody who's 225 pounds. I haven't seen anything like it. This guy is an absolute freak show, and he's an intellectual guy out of Texas A&M, and he's into poetry and all the rest of it, but he's also one of the better defensive linemen in the entire NFL. And that guy, did you happen to stumble across that? Because he is unreal. I mean, he's a special guy off the field, but he's super special when he's on the field. It's amazing what he looks like.
Yeah. He's got an 8-pack, Pete, not a 6-pack, an 8-pack. And the guy is just shredded, but not muscle bound. I mean, when you see the speed and the agility, obviously he's just a freak of nature. Yeah. So I am not surprised that people would see a picture of him with his, he basically pulled off the shoulder pads and T-shirt, and there he is just, looking like a Greek statue or something.
Looks like The Rock or something.
Yeah. Amazing. Well, we appreciate all of you joining us. Again, if you'd like to subscribe to any of our services, please go on over to marketrebellion.com/get started or scan the QR code that Jared has provided. And Pete and I can't remember what time, Pete, but what time are we back tomorrow?
Wednesday, 1 p.m. Eastern time.
That's right. Bang.